What is up, guys? Killerkev, and today I thought I'd have a nice, calm and collective chat with you guys on what your thoughts of the Pandaria class and, well, the race and the monk class. Now, I'm going to dive into the race for a start, and then we're going to touch on the things that other people feel and think while we're talking about certain things to do with the Mr. Pandaria expansion, the race and the new class. There's some gameplay in the background of just me leveling a panda and experiences of leveling a panda. So as in, I won't be elaborating on anything between 90 or something like that because I haven't got there yet. So we're just going to have a nice calm collective chat on how I feel about the Pandaria class. So race. The race in itself, to be honest, when everyone was playing Kata and they announced that there was going to be a panda essentially race in Mr. Pandaria, they were a little bit frustrated. They were like, why are you bringing a panda, which is some sort of an extinct animal, into a game which is fantasy and somewhat related to a world that not essentially we used to have, but obviously humans obviously fought things, and obviously night elves not essentially were real life, but they were some sort of a fantasy thing. It's a fantasy game, but a panda is taking the realism and then change. It's a gimmick, to be honest. Everyone thought it was quite hilarious to have such a silly race in the game. Now, to me, I was very frustrated when they announced that there was going to just be a panda race. I thought, what the hell? A lot of people thought, what the hell? Why are you bringing a panda race into this game? Why? Also, as well, people thought that pet battles are going to be really stupid, and it just wouldn't work. Now, for me, I was one of those people. Now, the other day, I think we've only played 7 hours on this character. Me and my friend Tom, his channel is in the description, go and check him out as well. We do some RDFs together. He is bringing a nice collection there. But when we started leveling this character, the terrain and the new environment for the actual race itself, the Pandaria, wow, that is something incredible. If you haven't done it, at least do the starting area, and I bet you any money you'll get stuck in. And the thing is, my thoughts as well. Let's talk about the actual class itself, the monk. Now, before we went on this RDF, there was a monk outside of Stormwind, level 90. Obviously, Alliance. We are playing Alliance, obviously, and he was obviously doing duels. That's what you do when you're outside of SW. So I was watching him duel for a little bit. Pretty much this guy had 4 fights and he did not die once at the whole fight. Now, A, he had very good gear, so that's obviously a benefit as well. But B, the skills rotation he was using as well. Now, I'm not pro on any skill rotations at all. I just, I get the general gist on what you're supposed to be using here. And yes, you can see me, I am a clicker. That is a habit that will fall when we get to 90 and do PvP. But yeah, the monk class in itself is really fun. I have had no complaints of leveling, a sense of myself. I've never been like, oh my god, this class sucks, it's so boring. I've had that with previous casters that have been in the other expansions and throughout the game. I have not got along with them that well, but for this actual thing, it was a case of, wow, this is really fun. I'm actually playing the tanky spec of the monk. I'm not too sure what it is called. This is really bad. I should really know what it's called, but at the end of the day, we literally just started leveling these characters, so yeah. Yeah, no joke, the tank spec for me, I think that is really good. I'm just going to run through a couple of spells which I think are pretty good. I'm not entirely sure what the names are, but you can see them on screen. The one I just clicked now is the sort of like the dragon breath, essentially, or the breath of fire it's called, as I can see there. This skill is really good, and it obviously inflicts a bleed damage on them as well, pretty much like a thunderclap or an old school rend on a warrior. Also, if you didn't know, my actual main is a warrior, so I like to refer to things back to that, and I also like playing tanky characters as well, just in general. I think that the warrior as well got a massive buff, but in prot wise, but I'm not going to go into that too much since Kata. But yeah, there's also a barrel spec, as like a barrel that you throw on the floor. I think that's binded to my middle mouse button. That I use it here is basically just basically taunting all the enemies that are in that specific area. It also gives them a slow as well, which is quite nice. And yeah, to be honest, there's a lot of taunt and a lot of things to keep essentially the crowd of mobs on you. So this, I think that the class itself is very nice to have in a sense of PvE. Now PvP I have not tried it yet, but in a sense, what I can gather, it's pretty much, to be honest, in my eyes, another hero class. Now why I say this is because you've got, well, I've got 4 heals myself that I can think of. They're not, some of them are great and some of them are less, but essentially they do heal. One of them as well, called a spinning crane kick, also does heals me or anyone that's in that area, and also deals damage. Now I think there's actually a passive as well, which actually increases your chi that's on your character. If you don't know what chi is, basically it's like a rogue's energy, which is basically the same colour and the same position as a rogue's. It builds up points as well that you can spend on certain skills. So for instance, I've got in my 3rd action bar, so when I press 3 it activates, it's called something called Keg Smash, which I do drop when there's a large amount of monsters. I'll probably drop it back here. It does quite a bit of damage, but also as well it gives me 3 of those points instantly. So essentially the combo points, and then I can spend on Breath of Fire or Spinning Crane Kick or something like that. Chi Wave as well, Wave of Chi as well, is basically like a little ball that bounces between enemies and allies. The allies obviously get healed and the enemy obviously takes damage, but I think it bounces around 6 or 8 times, which is really quite nice for something so small and that costs basically nothing and it has a ridiculous cooldown. Also as well, talking about cooldowns and everything else, I think that the majority of the skills on the monk that you can have you can basically, instead of having a 10 to 15 button rotation on what you can actually use, you don't actually need that amount. Personally, I've been using 4 to 5. It sounds really bad, but it does actually work really quite nice in the sense of PvE. PvP, we will mix it up, and I will probably get some footage when we're 80. I believe we leveled at least 6 times more than this. We are on Recruit a Friend, obviously. We don't have looms, and the thing is as well, with the Panda Monk, talking about Recruit a Friend and extra XP from guilds and everything else, the actual Panda has an additional 50% increase on mobs and so on and so forth. Now personally, this is ridiculous. If you're recruiting a friend, you've got looms, that is ridiculously OP, and also you're getting the 50% from the daily quest that you can do, which is hour of double, 50% experience of double. I'm not too sure what the cap is actually on the how much XP you can actually take in. Now if you plan this right and it did actually work and there is no cap, I don't see why there wouldn't be a cap. But if you had a main, personally, if you want to level really quickly and you don't particularly like it and you want to have a bit of fun in the meantime, for me, honestly, if you want to try a monk, go for it. Monk is freaking awesome. I'm really loving it at the moment. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really enjoying the monk. It is so much fun. As I say, I have no issues of leveling it. I'm really enjoying it. But if the thing is, I thought about it as well. For players that don't particularly want to have a long, hard grind, but want to have a fun character as well, essentially a monk, it's not going to be, I don't know what it's going to be at like level 90, so I can't say if it's going to be good or bad in PvP. Obviously, I really want to do PvP at some point in time. But it's one of those classes where you can really sort of level quick. If you've got the power to have looms or recruit a friend, then you're pretty much set. But also you got the 50% as well, and it's not a class that essentially is boring to play. It is actually really quite fun. So and also as well, if you didn't actually like the Panda class, you could always just get a race change with 90. Yeah, it will cost you a little bit of money, but it's the aspect of you're leveling that much quicker instead of spending, this is going to sound really bad, all the electricity on your PC and everything else to grind that level on another tune, essentially, or another race. So Panda, for me, I'm freaking loving it. I usually play a warrior. I've always played a warrior or a rogue, one of those two. It doesn't really matter. I've got a 78 rogue and a, I believe, no, 76 rogue and a 78 warrior. So, I bounce between two of them, and they're really enjoyable. But the monk at the moment for me looks like an ideal character to play. You've got the heals and you've got the DPS. The DPS could vary as well, but I think that this class would probably be at its peak and its best, and I think it would probably own anyone if you got down the aspect of you knew what you were doing, you knew the rotations of the heal, the DPS and everything else, and also you had obviously really good gear. Now I'm going to keep you updated on this, guys. I am running for time. We have just gone over the 10.5-minute video, so it's quite a long video of me rambling about the specific race and class itself. But yeah, guys, I'm really loving this class. It's not a chore to level. If you want something to have an additional 90 character, where you're looking for something to do in World of Warcraft, I would seriously start leveling a Panda Monk. They are just so much fun. Before we actually leveled any Panda or a Monk, essentially, we were really pissed off on how they worked. They could do kicks that would literally fly across a map. They did these stupid roly-polies, and they were just really annoying. They just pissed everyone off that was in the team. And yeah, me and Tom just got really frustrated with them. But it's the aspect of they're just so different to anything else. It's like they've molded two Pacific classes into one, and that sounds really strange, but it's like for me in particular, it's like a rogue and a warrior with a little bit of that resto druid in there. So that's really nice for me. But that's my personal opinion. If you guys think that you don't like a monk at all, I'd literally just do the first bit of the monk. It is so much fun. For me as well, I'm a massive fan of Kung Fu Panda because it's hilarious, and who doesn't like martial arts? Come on, who doesn't like martial arts? And you essentially don't really use your weapons, so obviously your weapon's always on display, and it's a good old tiger fist to kill enemies. So yeah, guys, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a like button. It is so much appreciated. Sub as well. There'll be so much more WoW contents coming out. I'm working on at least 3 or 4 characters, so I will need to get them geared. And yeah, I will take on with the journey with me. Talking about taking on journeys as well, guys, if you want to see me and Tom's speed runs to 70, 70 purely because of the reason of the 70 is the essentially the peak of the double XP, and also we don't want the series to be going on too long, so 70 is a nice ball point or round figure for having it at the moment. We did obviously a very silly mistake. We didn't actually check the server pop or anything else to do with that, so at the moment we are leveling on a really low alliance popped around. I'm playing a hunter, and I believe he is playing a druid. I'm not entirely sure. I believe it's a druid. As I say, we haven't recorded an episode in God knows how long. But yeah, if you want to see on our journey and how we strategize and how we go through it, pretty much as RDF and some quests here and there, then yeah, go and check out the channel. There's a playlist for that. If World of Warcraft is not your thing, or you like something else in particular, check out the other videos on the channel. There are so many videos. I do put out videos daily. Sometimes I might even spam your box itself, so I do apologise for that. But I'm very dedicated to my YouTube channel. But enough of that. So thanks, guys, ever so much for watching. This has been Killerkev on a rant about the Pandaria race and the monk class. And as always, Killerkev here and Killerkev out. All systems are go.